वही है
हेलो सर, नमस्कार। कांग्रेचुलेशंस आपके बर्थडे के लिए।
क्या था आप
लेकिन सर ईमेल जा रही है आपका, देखिए टेक्नोलॉजी का वो रजिस्ट्रेशन हुआ है, जो उन्होंने टैक्स दिए हैं उसमें नेम से होनी चाहिए। मैंने कहा मैं सर को बताने वाली हूँ।
सबसे पहले आ गया था Yeah, thank you. अच्छा देख सकते सही चलेगा फिलहाल नहीं दिक्कत होगी दो ऑप्शन है केवल वाला डाल रखा है मेरा पासवर्ड मैंने आपसे ले लिया No. Some other fund, coming for cash information, using AI to manage information across the globe. Spend a lot of part of his life.
Yeah, it's a different.
वो बात नहीं मैं चलना जाएगा केबल वगैरह मिल जाएगा पता लगा सब बंद हो गया Guardi. उधर से आ जाइए इधर से बंद क्या
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Kindly be seated. We're about to start the program.
लेना कितना है थोड़ा सा मामूली दो
Actually, we should talk in detail.
I welcome you on the occasion of 30th Tifac Foundation Day and request you all to kindly switch off your cell phones or put it on silent mode. On behalf of Tifac, I deem it a pleasure to extend very cordial welcome to all the dignitaries, invitees, scientists, students, teachers, and the Tifac fraternity. May I please request our honorable dignitaries to come on the stage, please. Dr. Anil Kapotkar, Chairman Tifac. Professor Ashutosh Sharma, Honorable Secretary, DST. Professor V. Ram Gopal Rao, Director, IIT Delhi. Professor Prabhat Ranjan, Executive Director, Tifac. And Registrar, Mr. N.C. Chauhan. May I please request the respected Executive Director, Professor Prabhat Ranjan, to give the floral welcome to the dignitaries. A round of applause for floral felicitation. Welcome, Honorable Secretary PSP. We are welcoming Professor Ram Gopal Rao, Director, IIT. We wish to start our celebration with the lamp lighting ceremony. So, may I request all the dignitaries to do this honor of lamp lighting. This is the electronic lamp lighting, and the credit goes to Professor Gadre. There is no real matchstick, there is no real lighting. It's a symbolic presentation of lamp lighting. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Asatoma Sadgamaya Mrityurma Mritangamaya. O Lord, lead us from darkness to light. O Lord, lead us from falsehood to truth. O Lord, lead us from mortality to immortality. Thank you so much, sir. Before I request our Executive Director, Professor Prabhat Ranjan, to come and address the gathering, I would love to recite a few lines written by none other than Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high. Where knowledge is free. Where the world has not broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls. Where words come out from the depth of truth. Where time is striving stretches its arms towards perfection. Where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. Now, I would like to request Professor Prabhat Ranjan, Executive Director, to come and give a glimpses of Tifac activities. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Professor Prabhat Ranjan.
Okay, while he's setting up, I think I can start. So good morning to all of you for joining this morning. And I would like to welcome our chairman, Dr. Kakotkar, Professor Asu Sarma, Secretary PST, Professor Rao, IT Delhi Director, and my colleagues, Registrar Director, Mr. Johan, and all the speakers. It's a wonderful day today. But before I go into things, I want to tell the history of that particular lamp that we lighted. I was working on wildlife tracking, and we tried to capture the movement of wildlife and convert it to energy. And that process, we were trying to use a magnet, moving magnet to get energy. And this we discussed with Dr. Vanendra Gadre, who is a professor in NSIT. And eventually that wildlife thing did not happen, but what has happened is you see there, that when you shake that match, electric match, the magnetic energy lights up and it actually stores energy in a supercapacitor. And from there, through wireless communication, it lights up that lamp. So that's the outcome of that research, which was to actually track wildlife. So, 2 years back, at the same event, we discussed a topic that was future of brain, a race between mind and machine, how computers and brain are racing with each other. And this time we thought that we'll go further and look at how exponential technologies are going to impact the future of human life itself and the species itself. And we keep track of technology trends. We are seeing so every single day there's a new development that is taking place that seems to be going into exponential phase of these various technologies. And there's a formal definition of exponential technology that we'll discuss in the technical session. But we felt that it was important to discuss this issue and bring it to the attention of all the people. In addition to the various experts on artificial intelligence, neuroscience, and so on that we have lined up for the technical session, we also have Mr. Prashant Bhushan, a famous lawyer, coming in right after lunch, unless he gets stuck with the Supreme Court case that's going on, but he promised that he'll come. And we wanted to see whether we can come up with a law to regulate human rights for robots. European is already discussing this, so that will happen right after lunch at 2:30, and we'll try to see if we can work towards that. So that's why we have called him. Unfortunately, he agreed to come. So let me go over to the highlight of Tifac activities this last 1 year. This is a forum you get to actually join hands with people in general and talk about what we have done so far. The Tifac has been trying for the last few years. And we have been trying to align ourselves to core mandate of Tifac of being a technology think tank for the country. And this process, we are also serving role in areas of national priorities. Our focus has been more on in-house contribution in addition to domain experts, and many of you are present here. We take your help in this process, but we have tried to develop in-house expertise. What we have done is that all the action-oriented programs, we're trying to take help of various stakeholders rather than taking it in our own hands. In terms of expertise, foresight methodology, we have now, last few years, we have developed good expertise. Through horizontal scanning process, we keep track of all the technology trends that happens around the globe on daily basis. So every day, 15, 20 technology news of global importance is shared through our Facebook account and then tweeted through Twitter. And we have hundreds of followers, both the Facebook as well as Twitter, both within India and abroad. Many people use this actually to bring out newsletters based on what we do. Plus, the patent analysis part has become an important part of activities. We have been facilitating patents for almost 2 decades. But last year, we are starting to use this for our foresight and many other things that are happening around. For example, recently we got a request from DIPP that in foreign direct investment, there is some preference given to technologies with cutting edge. They requested that can we certify whether the particular technology somebody is trying to bring in under FDI is cutting edge or not. So we are going to use this technology like patent analysis and horizontal scanning to actually look at all this and say that yes, really it is cutting edge or it's not cutting edge. Somebody is trying to get the discounts that are available. In addition, we are trying to work on quantitative foresight methodology. Early work started, and in this process, we are also trying to set up national technology information system. And today's discussion, there's some interesting points that's there, but I don't have time to go into details of this. We released Technology Vision 2025 last year. Honorable Prime Minister released this on Science Indian Science Congress in Mysore on January 3, 2016. This document actually talks about 12 prerogatives, 6 on the top are individual, 6 at the bottom are collective. I don't have time to go into details. We had discussed this earlier foundation days. With each of these prerogatives, we have made a technology table at different stages. This technology table has technology ready to deploy on the left side, technology which needs to go from lab to field, technology which needs targeted development, and technology which is in imagination. What we have seen that technology which is in imagination is very important. We thought something will happen in 15, 20 years or may not happen. We saw that while we were preparing the document, major technology started to happen already. So technology is happening at a much faster rate than we expect, and technology diffusion is also taking place at a much faster rate, which also means technology obsolescence is also very high. So technology foresight is going to play a very important role because of this, because by the time we realize we are bringing some technology would have changed completely. In fact, what's happening that a student enters the BTech program in the first year, what he's learning by the time he goes out, the technology has changed. So the exponential technology that we are talking today is very important from point of view, from that point of view, as well as from foresight point of view. We'll identify 10 grand challenges as part of this document. Last year, we discussed 3 issues of this. One was related to eliminating female child anemia. We joined hands with the Indian Council of Medical Research. And I'm glad to inform you that outcome of this was that Indian Council of Medical Research has started, along with Tifac, a program to first identify why anemia we are not able to make an impact. Ministry of Health and Family Welfare joined in this, and also Ministry of Women and Child Development. So through this process, we are first trying to look at both all kinds of anemia affecting children as well as women. Similarly, we had discussed last year of Indian language to Indian language translation. Now, Department of Electronics and IT is working on this. They have started in a small way, and we are discussing now to expand this. So that's very easy to translate from one Indian language to another Indian language, not going via English route. The third thing we had discussed last time was related to assistive technology. And thanks to Prime Minister, now it's been put up such a high pedestal that National Science Day this time being celebrated with that particular theme. And also Children's Science Congress, this theme has been put into, and so Prime Minister's office is directly taking. So all the 3 themes we discussed, various stakeholders have taken note of that and started to move forward. In addition, the number 7 grand challenge is taking railway to Leh and Tawang. You might have seen the newspaper that government has put on the priority list. In addition, they have added a couple of more places. So Tawang is being worked upon. As part of Technology Vision 2025, we were preparing roadmaps in 12 sectors of importance to achieve that vision. Out of those 12 sectors, we have released 5 reports in 2016, starting with materials to manufacturing, medical science and healthcare, information and communication technology, and transportation, which we did just on 23rd December. As a part of our action, we are going to work with various stakeholders, like what I talked about. So we like Indian Council of Medical Research, Department of Heavy Industry, NITI Aayog, and so on. So we're working with various stakeholders rather than taking action in our own hand. In Technology Vision 20 is a very different approach. As a follow-up of this, we are not only keeping in mind Technology Vision 2025, but 2 other commitments that country has made of Sustainable Development Goals and climate change commitments. We are keeping all this in mind while we're preparing our action plans. And in addition to many other aspects that we're keeping in mind, like we're preparing documents for various ministries, state government, industry, and so on. I don't have time to go in details of these. I just want to show you one example. For example, one of the prerogatives was on safe and speedy mobility, where we said that within the country, no place should be more than 3 hours away from a district headquarters, 5 hours away from a state capital, and 8 hours away from a national capital. Now, if we just make this a statement, then nobody is going to pay any attention to this. So what we are doing is we're doing quantitative work. For example, this is using Google Maps, the data that they have collected, writing a script to collect information from there. And then we've taken Howrah district, and we are trying to calculate from each panchayat what is the time that it takes to travel to district headquarters. So our effort is to make this map on the national scale and then bring it to policymakers that this is the red area, this is the orange area, this is the green area. Then it will be very easy for them to start action. So this is the kind of work we're starting where quantitative work is very important. In addition, we are preparing a document of security technology which will assess and prioritize malicious threats and security vulnerability with national perspective. In this particular, we are covering natural resources, environmental security, information and communication security, financial sector security, as well as individual and societal security and infrastructure and physical security. So all of this together, we expect next few months to launch this document. Our activities related to climate change has grown multifold in the last 2 years. We are part of the subcommittee formed by MOFCC on technology capacity building to prepare a strategy for implementation of India's commitment to climate change. And in particular, these 2 aspects have been assigned to Tifac to look into that. On behalf of DST, we have set up Global Technology Watch Group in 6 sectors. And on behalf of MOFCC, we are doing technology need assessments and helping with biennial update report as well as other things in 10 different sectors. Tifac also identified adaptation and mitigation technologies which went into part of India's commitment to climate change. In this process, we are also taking help of IASA in Vienna to come help with quantitative work. With request from Ministry of Urban Development and DST, we have also developed a data bank for municipal solid waste disposal. This work is complete now. With help of IASA, we have also developed, and NIRI, we have developed a complete city air pollution model for Delhi, including its impact on the health. It goes into great details, including it says that in every 5 years, if I don't do anything, for example, this is showing, the left side is showing particular method 10, PM10, business as usual scenario in 2010 and 2030. On the right side is showing that if you do various actions, how it's going to impact that pollution. Similarly, this is for PM 2.5. And then we have divided Delhi into 2 by 2 square kilometers and worked out in great detail that each of these area, if you do nothing, what's going to happen, and if you do certain actions, what's going to happen. So actually, if you're staying in Delhi somewhere, you can find out that how it's going to be, your area is going to affect the pollution. And then its impact on the health is equally being worked upon. We are also doing this with Calcutta, which is nearly done. Delhi has been released. This has been taken into account by National Green Tribunal and others. And with IASA, we are also hopeful that we'll be able to work in many areas, including sustainable development goals. I don't have time to go into details of these. Just the industry support, we have been helping industry through providing technology inputs to MSME clusters. We've taken up 9 clusters. A very interesting point, program that we started is an MSME internship program where we actually take students to small industries in 2 phases for internship. First phase, they identify a problem. Second phase, they work on a real problem. This program is very successful. And thanks to chairman in Maharashtra government is also following up this by supporting 2 additional institutes within this. We will find that the students, even the first phase, when they go into industry, they're able to not only identify a problem, but solve the problem, and industry is able to implement it. So the students are working as a medium to connect faculty members with industry, small industry especially. And we are hoping that with help of Ministry of MSME and MHRD, this can be scaled up to have 10,000 to 20,000 students going to this, because this can be a game changer for country. It will not only benefit the industry, it will also benefit the students who will actually learn to know what are the real problems. Then we have, based on request by state governments, we have been doing various things. For example, one interesting thing we did was to work with Bihar government to identify Kosi River silt that is coming in. What is the potential of value addition, so that the silt, which is nuisance, can become a useful product. And in this, we collected the samples, and these have been converted into various products with the help of CTCRI in Kolkata. As you can see, one scientist demonstrating this in Patna. We are also working on availability of biomass from the point of view of conversion this to biofuel. We are going down to district level, and with the help of remote sensing, going down to every square kilometer. And in several crops, we are working this. This will be put as part of Gagan portal, and it will be updated every crop season automatically through the help of remote sensing. Similarly, with NITI Aayog and DST, we have worked on methanol, trying to bring methanol as part of India, especially transport sector and cooking gas sector, where we worked on production and utilization aspects of this. This document has been made ready, and now a draft cabinet note has been made available to NITI Aayog. In fact, today afternoon also there is a discussion on this. Then we have a program where we scale up technological innovations by providing soft loans. I just wanted to mention one particular support that we did was a cotton ginning machine. In ginning, you separate out the cotton and the seed. That you used to use leather rollers, which used to have chromium contamination. In this one, rubber roller was developed, which is much better, and there's no chromium contamination. So it's actually the chromium contamination affects lakhs of workers who are working in this, and of course all of us who wear those clothes. This is the rubber one, and we did the roadshow, and the industry has picked it up and they launched products based on this. And we are requesting Ministry of Textile and Ministry of Environment for us to actually look into this and see that we can adopt this technology for countrywide use. In terms of patent facilitating, which we have been doing for last 2 decades, 15 new patents were granted, for more than 250 plus patents have been granted now. More than 1,500 patents we have filed out of the 30 we have done last year. 7 workshops we did, but total 450. And actually with the IPP, we are planning to have 3,500 workshops in next 3 to 4 years. We've also worked with DRDO, TDB, ISEA to actually not only do RPI awareness, but also, for example, agro-based technology we're trying to commercialize them with the help of TDB and ISEA. In terms of national IPR policy that was released in last May, there were about 1/3 of the action points assigned to DST, and on behalf of DST, Tifac is handling all of this. And we have set up a number of task forces. One is to enhancing IP output and incentivizing. In fact, next week we are having discussion on this. The task force 2 looks at IP in collaborative research and development, institution, government, industry, and academia, how to do this. And also, we have been asked to make an IPR toolkit. As part of our awareness program, we are joining hands with Tifac, with CPAM, which is a DIPP organization. So first, we are doing a train the trainers program. In this, we are picking up our women scientists who are being trained. We train them as certified trainers, and we actually expect to have 4 awareness programs every single day for next 3 to 4 years. The current IPR program is part of DST's Women Scientists program. It's been a very successful program. Last year, we selected 111 women out of 120, that is maximum allowed. The training started, it's going to end by end of March. We did many changes, for example, we have online courses. We interact with all the trainees across the country through video conferencing. And this time we did a very interesting thing. We have discussed this issue of guar gum earlier, but guar gum, India exports huge amount of raw material. We don't do value addition. This is a story that goes across many materials. So we have used these women actually to analyze 170 raw materials and do pattern analysis and find out value addition possibilities. This will be very valuable input to the country. Also, recently there was a patent exam. Out of this particular batch, 33 have qualified. And there are many from earlier batches that we don't have data of that. The next batch has been announced, and we have received more than 1,800 applications. And March 19th, we plan to have exams, and hopefully the program starts from May 1st. For this particular program, last year on International Women's Day on 8th March, we received President's Award for Rani Lakshmi Bai Award for Women Empowerment. And this was given through Ministry of Women and Child Development. And also Prime Minister met all the awardees that particular day. So you can understand the significance of this particular award. And we have found that these women, wherever they've gone, they've earned a name and fame for themselves. So wherever I go in the country, people always respect this particular program. So I'm thankful to many of you who are here, and of course all the earlier batches. I think I'll stop at this point. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for presenting and summarizing Tifac activities so wonderfully. May I request Professor V. Ram Gopal Rao, Director, IIT Delhi, to come and share a few words on this auspicious occasion, please. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Professor V. Ram Gopal Rao.
Good morning, Dr. Anil Kapurkar, Professor Ashutosh Sharma, Dr. Prabhat Ranjan, Mr. N.C. Chauhan. Welcome to IIT Delhi. In fact, this is the first time I am seeing Professor Anil Kapurkar at IIT Delhi since I have taken over in the last 9 months. Good to see him in Delhi. And I also would like to welcome all of you to IIT. I think the topic of today's discussion, the Tifac 30th Foundation Day. I mean, the exponential technologies and the future of human civilization in a way because of these technology influences. I think it's a very relevant topic. I mean, I was discussing with Ashutosh before we came here. It's also maybe increasing our problems exponentially because of all these technologies. I think I personally think that now we need to work on things which are of relevance. There are technologies which increase complexity. There are technologies which reduce clutter in our lives. I think as I am an electronics engineer, any technology that reduces clutter is what will sell more, and that is what will make life easier. I personally always start off 5 areas which are important. In fact, I was recently drafting a kind of a policy for imprint program. So I categorize them as 5 areas. I call them SHAPE, S-H-A-P-E. That is what the country needs. The S stands for security. I think we need to work so much on the security related technologies, whether it is cyber security or security because of the kinds of attacks that can happen any day, any part of the country. I think the security is going to be one big area where we need to focus our energies and do something. The second area I talk about is healthcare. Healthcare infrastructure is almost non-existent in the villages. I think that is where we need to use technologies to connect or screen people in the villages and link them to the bigger cities and hospitals. That will again require lots of technologies. The third one I call agriculture. In India, agriculture has hardly seen any new technologies. The productivity levels are going down, and we have the water resources for agriculture is a big challenge right now. We have 4% of the world's water resources. We have 18% of world's population. We are the people who need to be saving water. Any technologies that will help farmer save water, like what the Prime Minister recently said, per drop, more crop. I think that is what is very relevant for the country. So the agriculture is one big area. The fourth one is the pedagogy. So the pedagogy is so important because every month, almost like about 10 million people looking for jobs in this country. How do we train them? How do we make them learn things? How do we educate them? The pedagogy is going to be a very important aspect. Even from IIT point of view, what are the new technologies that we can use to have that outreach for all of these institutes? We have all made in IITs name for ourselves by being exclusive. Now, we admit 1 in 1,000 students, and we think we have done a great job. I think that is something which needs to change. We have to become more inclusive in our approach. That again requires lots of new technologies. The final one, the E stands for environment. I think as Tifac also rightly pointed out, that environment is such a big problem. Even you look at Delhi, I mean, it's amazing that the way things are happening. And another big challenge I see in this country, I mean, I've been in Delhi for over a year right now. We have not been combining the technologies and policies. I think the policies are completely independent of technology. And we haven't even figured out what causes the Delhi pollution problem. You talk to one government, you get one answer. You talk to another government, you get another answer. The reason for that is we have not involved technology in our policy making decisions. Right? Delhi, we're actually starting a school for policy studies and a technology policy. So hopefully, these are the kind that can become a think tank. And Tifac has a major role to play in those sort of activities. Now, I believe there's a lot of scope for an agency like Tifac, and whatever IIT Delhi can do to enable or to involve, or to bring Tifac and IIT Delhi together. I'll be very happy from IIT Delhi point. Thank you very
much. Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us with your thoughts. Now, may I request Honorable Secretary DST, Professor Ashutosh Sharma, to come and share his thoughts on this auspicious occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Professor Ashutosh Sharma.
Dr. Kakodkar, Professor Ram Gopal Rao, Dr. Prabhat Ranjan, Shri Chauhan, distinguished participants, young friends up there, middle-aged friends here, ladies and gentlemen.
There are also people at the top there.
Top, yeah, those are young friends. Well, this is the 30th Foundation Day of Tifac. Now, 30 in a country, tropical country full of monsoon, many walls start to crumble. But Tifac is holding, this is stable, it's attaining greater stability and maturity, combined still with the youthful energy of last 3 decades. So it's a great time to look forward to the future with optimism. A whole lot of activities. I'm sorry, I came running back, so I'm a little bit out of breath here. And like Dr. Ram Gopal Rao said, these exponential technologies, they're certainly making for an exponentially complex life. All this connectedness stuff, right? Is not always very welcome. We'll talk more about it a little bit later. So anyway, I was given this stuff to speak about, which has all the achievements of Tifac in here, but they've all been ably covered by, Prabhat Ranjanji. So I don't need to talk about that anymore, except to say that this is indeed an exceptional organization. It's exceptional. I mean, it's a deep well of knowledge, which has been fed by extraordinary minds, starting earlier, Vision 2020, championed by none other than Dr. Kalam, and now Vision 2035 with Dr. Kakotkar's leadership. So it has had the best of leadership, it has had the best of vision, and now what it can do for the future is, scale up their programs. This is what Dr. Kakotkar was saying just now. You see, we have very good, robust models, whether it's related to training women for IPR, whether it's related to MSME skilling. The question is, we have these robust models, which have been prototyped, which have been tried, let's say on a district level or a state level. How do we actually take it forward to implement it in country at large? So that remains a challenge. And I'm sure that if we have a good model, you can train the trainers, you can replicate this model with some additional resources to all parts of the country. So I think this is something we should discuss going forward. Well, so coming, indeed, this is a very exciting topic that we have picked up to celebrate the 30th Foundation Day. In fact, if I looked at the speech of Honorable Prime Minister in 104th Indian Science Congress in Tirupati on 3rd of January 2017, it says cyber physical systems has the potential to pose unprecedented challenges and stresses to India's demographic dividend. So one of the things that we are very proud of justifiably is our young people and the great enthusiasm, energy and knowledge and skills that they bring to the market. But all of that could be under severe stress because of the rise of intelligent machines. I'll come back to that theme in another 2 minutes. But it says, go on to say, but these challenges can be converted into an opportunity by research, training, and skilling in robotics, artificial intelligence, digital manufacturing, big data, deep learning, quantum communication, and Internet of Things. So this is the skin of the future to come. This is still the external, the covering, the tools, the different technologies that converge together for the rise of intelligent things or intelligent machines. Now, clearly, there's a need to develop and exploit these technologies in services and manufacturing. I'm quoting the Honorable PM, so I'm reading it word by word. And then sectors in agriculture, water, energy, traffic management, health, environment, infrastructure, and geoinformation systems, security systems, and in combating crime. So I think, our challenges are very clear, our opportunities are very clear. 10 years down the road, well, I can't say 10 or 15 or 7, but it's a process which happens. All societies would lose some amount of jobs, both in service and in manufacturing. A whole lot. So how do we know that's going to happen? Well, it's been a long time since a computer was the world chess champion. And you expect that because it's mathematical, it's logical, and you can do a huge amount of computations and see possibilities, and so you can beat any human mind. But today, the interesting fact is that machines are also the poker world champion. So if those of you who play poker, you understand it's not completely, well, in that sense, logical, but it's fuzzy logic, right? It's about neural nets, it's about artificial intelligence. And the machines are also the world champions of Jeopardy. So those of you who know Jeopardy, well, it is fuzzy. It is not mathematically precisely defined. You have to understand the human language. You have to understand the context. So this is all about deep learning. This is not about mathematical learning. This is about learning like humans do. In fact, it's learning beyond the way humans do. What is special about machine learning? So when we talk about, well, this rise of exponential technologies, to my mind, it's not so much about exponential technologies, it's about exponential learning, the engine behind the technologies. What is special about this engine, which is exponential in learning? Human learning, well, there may be a short burst of exponential learning early on in life, maybe until we are 5 years old or something like that. After that, it is nearly linear with a decreasing slope. And by the time mostly our age people here, not their age people, our age, is nearly constant, saturated, is being weighed down by conditioning and expectations and previous experiences. And after there is a little bit downhill, right? But machines are different. They are different because A, they can handle big amount of data and information. So it is all about synthesis. Human learning is about analysis more than synthesis because we cannot handle in a seamless way different domains of knowledge and say, look, here is the whole, and not just a little part. And we humans are not very good at that because it requires handling big amount of data. We are not trained like that. We are trained chapter to chapter, course to course, degree to degree, and so on. So machines can accumulate, communicate, pull out data from wherever required and connect it to get to information. From information, the decision-making processes which can get very complex. So machines can do that because of high computational bandwidth, right? And then also then you can make decisions and then you have everything that humans cannot do very effectively in a small time and because we don't cooperate. So other great thing is, well, because machines are connected, they can learn from each other. A driverless car, if one car has an accident, then all the cars can learn from it immediately and they know how to do course correction. Humans don't learn like that. Humans meaning, well, me, I don't learn like that. So I go from failure to failure, repeat the same failure, throughout my life. I have been cheated 5 times by the same person. I get cheated 6 times. No problem at all, right? So this is why machine learning is exponential, whereas our learning is small slope linear. And so this is why the rise of intelligent machines can do everything we cannot do. Great thing it's all about being connected. It's about communicating, and that you see, so our communication channels have been limited by starting 1970s, starting with third industrial revolution. We are saying, or industry 3.0, we got digital, right? But these digital technologies are still controlled by humans. Industry 4.0 or society 5.0, as it is called by the Japanese. You hear so many O's, start saying oh, and then this 4.0, 5.0, keep going here. What is different about it? The different about it is not that digital technologies being controlled by humans, not passive digital technologies, but active cyber physical technologies. So there is a seamless fusion between the physical, the machine, if you would, or any material, and the digital and the cyber aspect. So, well, of course, cyber, pairs with physical, digital pairs with analog. So you can call them digital analog system. Analog is the physical, and you have digital, and you have cyber and physical. So the external clothing which drives all of this is, of course, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, big data, deep learning, IoT, Internet of Things, Internet of Everything, quantum communication, quantum computing, robotics, smart machines, what have you. I'll just give you 2 examples. And what does it all mean? Two examples from DST, two programs that we launched, actually three programs we launched this year, the last year, end of last year. The first one is the umbrella program, which is cyber physical systems, which would consider all of this and beyond any integration of physical things, mechanisms, organisms even, or biological organisms with machines, as well as with cyber aspects or digital aspects to create a whole. So what is a cyber physical system? Cyber physical system is the one that pulls in information from any source, either from humans or by connecting to other machines, any source of information which is out there. Then is going to process that data and information, manipulate it for the goal for which it is set up in that context. Then it can arrive at some decision process, saying, look, this is where I want to put the new hospital or new school, or what I need to do, where do I need to have intervention, and so on. Then, so it arrives at the decision process. And then if you go a little bit in the future, it would also act on these decisions. It can get to governance. So it has a physical part and an informative system part, right? And so to just give you some two rudimentary examples, we set up a program with Smart Pebbles. Now, Smart Pebbles are the little sensors for, let's say, measuring the quality of water and air. They are so cheap and small, so you take them in thousands, throw them away, fire and forget. And then these people, the entities, would have onboard power for to last few years. So don't worry about that. It's about communication, so it's sending out data after sensing it real time to a central server. The amount of data is huge. So we need to get a model out from there, say, look, what is the map of pollutants? Where are they coming from? So therefore, you can make a decision and say, look, at this point, I need to shut down this, right, in order to get pollution map under control. Right now, it would not have the power to shut down anything, but it would help, humans make that decision. Going into future, well, this can be automated. So you say, look, machine is going to make a decision, and it's going to act on it, and it's going to act on it through its physical arms, right? Shut down this tannery, eliminate this guy, whatever, right? So which bring in ethical problems. There's a separate issue that we, can I'm sure that we will debate going forward. Another example is hyperspectral imaging. So you have these IR sensors and looking at the emission spectra, looking at absorption spectra, looking at whatever. You can tell everything about what's the soil quality, what kind of crops are growing, are they mature, do they have disease? The whole mapping of that, and that becomes possible by combining these aspects. Look, I'm going to end there. I just want to say, look, one thing as a nation we have to think about very strongly is, look, on this rise of cyber physical systems is driven strongly by the societies which have no people. Japan, Germany, Europe, and so on. They certainly don't have a whole lot of young people. So it makes complete sense to say, look, we are going to create these machines that would take over the functions of humans. We, on the other hand, have just the opposite problem. Okay, that we need to create, 2 crore jobs every year, right? And so these job gobbling machines are not going to do a great thing for us as a nation, as a society, unless we turn this threat into a huge opportunity, which means create skills which are not only local, but can do global things, just like the rise of software industry. So it requires a huge amount of new skilling. It also requires new ways of deploying these technologies. And this is a problem that nobody else is going to solve for us, because their problem is just the opposite, which means that we have to do deep thinking, right? Who knows, maybe machines will do it for us. But we need to do a different thinking, which says, look, how we cannot stop the rise of this technology. No technology has ever been stopped from rising. If there is a demand, there is a supply, and it's going to happen. So the question is, what happens to humans? So that's looking a little bit farther down in the future, right? But the immediate problem would be related to job creation rather than job destruction using the same technologies. Going farther into future, the rise of intelligent machines is only one part of the equation. This is coming from the left. The rise of humans, which are interfaced with machines, is another part of the equation, which would happen a little bit later. What that means is, well, that my brain is limited in terms of communicating with other brains. My brain is also limited in terms of computational power and memory. Can I actually enhance it by interfacing it both with software and hardware? Right? And when all the brains are communicating seamlessly with each other without, well, the cell phones that we have now, that would bring in a huge transformational change in who we are. Because who we are is largely defined by the idea of self as being an individual self, as being different from other cells, for example. And that's largely because of the lack of communication. You see, so once we have all the thoughts which are floating in my brain from everywhere else here, and all my thoughts are being shared by everybody else, you can't say, well, what the self is, right? Even now, there's no self, but there's an illusion of, well, it's me versus Arvinda sitting here, and he is him, and me is me, right? Of course, we are shaped by each other, we are shaped by everybody else, but this would become obvious once you implant these machines and that there is a seamless web of communication, of sharing. This is what makes machines different from humans. It's not the consciousness. Consciousness is a mathematical construct. This has been proven. So I talk to a lot of these artificial intelligence friends, that they, of course, these are the best of scientists. They got a lot of native intelligence, and superimposed on that, they work on artificial intelligence. But it's fairly clear that consciousness, as we look at it as a black box, is a mathematical construct which can be done. What differentiates humans? We are talking about human species as future. What differentiates humans is what is called self-consciousness, right? And self-consciousness clearly is limited only to the self and not observable by an independent entity outside. That's why it's more philosophical concept. I don't mean it in abstract concept, but I mean most people dismiss it as being philosophical of some kind or other. So the question is, this idea of self-consciousness, which is in humans but not in machines, that distinction will become blurred because the idea of self will become little bit diluted, and will become increasingly diluted as there is a greater interface between machine and people and the connectivity between people through the machines and technology. Final thing, I mean, this is something I thought about it deeply for at least 20 years. He said, what is it that people want in life? I mean, see, all technologies actually come because of the fact that there is a need. What is the overarching need of humans to develop technology? So, I mean, you take random survey, young people, middle age, old people, anyway, it doesn't really matter, right? What they would say, first thing is happiness, that we seek happiness in life, right? But then you ask them a little bit deeper and say, oh, what do you mean happiness? Then they say, oh, well, there's some ideas which are not very well formed. They say, oh, it's about having friends. It's about having this car with 8 cylinders. Or others would say, well, it's about having, this huge amount of money. People don't say it openly, but I know what you mean. Okay. So I know that they're saying, look, if I had another zero, hopefully to the right of this significant digit in my bank account, then I'll be happier. So that's one way to think about it. There are many ways to think about happiness. But what is the bottom line? What is the universal aspect about what people seek can be reduced to something little more general. So, well, to my limited brain, this basically means 2 or 3 different things. It means that we all want to create a world in which we feel comfortable, our surroundings, our world, in which we feel comfortable. And the only way to be comfortable completely is to have absolute control over creation of this world and to manipulate it the way we want it to work. It doesn't happen in reality. We have really no control. Things happen and so on, and that makes us very unhappy. So what is the driving force for greater technologies? Is one of the fundamental driving forces is to create a world, sustain it, and control it the way we want it. Second, happiness, the source of happiness, is to live forever. This is immortality. Take me from death to immortality, says the Vedic chant, right, which we said right in the beginning. Tam soma jyotirgamay and so on, and from death to immortality. It's a very old wish, right? That of course with medical advances and so on, we try to patch up these things a little bit. But see, what people want to do is they want to live forever in whatever form, right? These are the two very fundamental needs for human beings. So now the reason I'm saying this, what does it mean in terms of technologies? This is what you have to think about. What does it mean in terms of new technologies that would be there 50 years from now, 100 years from now, even 1,000 years from now? As far as the immortality is concerned, there are already efforts in the direction, for example, of creating a cyber twin or digital twin or avatar and so on. Now, what I mean is, if I can download all my experiences and memories, as the memory, the restrictions on memory vanish and so on. These are all everything, visual elements, the sounds heard, the meaning of these sounds, people I interacted with, the whole world, everything is there. Now, if I power this experience, the bank of experiences with artificial intelligence, then this entity is not static anymore. Not only it lives, it's going to evolve because it's going to pull in new information 10 years from now, and then it will change its views, the way it acts in the world, that's going to change. So it is like a real person. And you can even, put the real physical form as well, maybe not organic form, but form in different ways. It doesn't really matter what the form is. It could be holographic projection, speech synthesis, speech recognition, gestures, everything, right? We may create Dr. Abdul Kalam, for example, in a few years from now, which actually behaves like Dr. Abdul Kalam, the way we knew him until now, but 10 years down the road may behave differently because like a real Abdul Kalam, it has learned things during this time. So it modifies behavior. So you live forever, right? This is just one way of saying how cyber physical is going to satisfy, would lead to technologies that evolve in that direction of granting us the boon of immortality. The second thing is to create the world that I can control and live in it, which is very much like the Matrix. We have seen all these movies, right? And which is all about virtual reality. Now that virtual reality, when it turns very real, after all, what is virtual and real? In any case, a matter of big debate for many millennia, and we would never actually solve that puzzle. Finally, the puzzle of perception and the reality and so on. It would require actually brainstorming for nearly 2 months, at the end of which we'll come out and say we are no wiser than we were before. Because all of this has been debated endlessly for many millennia. But the question is, we create, for whatever time I can live in this cyber reality that I can create and control, that would be the source of ultimate happiness. And so these are the major fundamental drivers of technologies that are evolving now, that will continue to evolve, they would become more complex, but no matter what their form is, you see, the basics are very simple. The biological brain has not evolved. It is a very slow process. Individual brain can get more effectively wired because of the stimuli that it receives, the education it receives. But the biological brain as a whole of humans cannot evolve in 200 years. Technology has evolved a great deal exponentially, whichever way, and the brain cannot keep pace with these technological challenges. Even back 30 years ago, there was this future shop, toffler and stuff like that, which now looks like baby food. And it would appear to be much worse as we go in the future, right? All this future shock and stuff. But since biological brain, in the sense of evolution, cannot evolve that fast, what is the next pathway to evolution that's available to humans, right? To keep in sync with the technological changes. So only pathway of evolution available to humans is by fusing the brain with technology. And so there's integration, the reverse integration, not just rise of the intelligent machines, but the rise of intelligent people who are interfaced with machines in a very integrated way. That is the future. That's a fact. Okay, it will become a fact, increasingly become a fact. It's a fact now. So it is not a moral judgment on what is going to happen, but it's a statement of what drives us, and logically based on what drives us, what is the direction of growth in which things would happen, right? So I wish each one of us all the very best going down that path, and especially Tifac, doing all this futurology, this crystal gazing, and saying, look, are we there? Are we prepared? How much are we there to release all the remaining roadmaps for technology sectors? So there are about 6 of them remaining now, 7, right? So coming down to more mundane level, they say, okay, well, we're going to release another 5 roadmaps this year, and then take them down to the user ministries. And indeed, and I'm sure that you would be very effective in doing that. I congratulate all the staff of Tifac who are here in doing a splendid job. Again, like I said, 30 years, good milestone in any organization's life. It consolidates your gains, and it gives you new hope and energy looking at the future. I wish you all the very best in doing all of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your encouraging and enthusiastic speech, especially for showing us the way for the future of super intelligence and super intelligent people. May I request now our Honorable Chairman, Sir, Dr. Anil Kakodkar, to come and share and shower his thoughts on us.
Hold on.
Okay. So, may I request our Executive Director, Professor Prabhat Ranjan, to give the memento to Honorable Secretary TST, Professor Ashutosh Sharma. A big round of applause. He'll be leaving for an important meeting shortly. And now it's time to hear words from none other than Dr. Anil Kakodkar, our chairman, sir. Please welcome him with a big round of applause.
Professor Ramgopal Rao, Professor Prabhat Ranjan, Shri Chauhan, distinguished invitees, participants, and my dear young friends. Well, first of all, greetings and compliments to entire Tifac family, and that includes people from Tifac, and also the larger Tifac family. We could not have done what has been done without the support and input from a large number of intellectuals, many of whom are present here. So I think compliments and congratulations to all of you on the 30th Foundation Day of Tifac.
As we just heard from Professor Ashutosh Sharma, Tifac has, I think, we are now can legitimately claim ourselves to be a technology think tank. And there are several activities at the ground level, but being a think tank, I think we have to also live in a different world. And we got a glimpse of it just now from Professor Sharma. And I think it's very important for our activities as a think tank. If I just look at Tifac activities normally when you look at an organization, you look at verticals, and you can define verticals in different ways. But if I can recast those verticals, we have one activity which is the visioning exercise. We had Technology Vision 2020. We are currently working on Technology Vision 2035. And this is an ongoing exercise. And who knows, we may be actually required to draft out a document not far from today on this very theme that we are discussing today. I'll come to that in a moment. The second vertical for Tifac, to my mind, should be to really explore the gaps. When we visualize what is likely to happen, which way the world is going, I think we should also look at where we are, what are those gaps, and scan what's happening in the country and whether there are efforts going on to bridge those gaps and identify areas where those efforts are either not there or they are subcritical efforts and point out to people, decision makers, powers that be with regard to prioritization so that we don't leave gaps and we are current with the rest of the world, or for that matter, a little ahead with the rest of the world in all areas. So that's the second vertical. The third vertical, to my mind, Tifac activity, is to prepare ourselves, capacity building. Are we well prepared to be in the forefront? And if not, what is it that we need to do? And again, bring out all these related aspects and point out to people that we, because I think it's important. And to my mind, this is one area we are actually lagging behind. Mention was made about intellectual property. Tifac has done such wonderful work. But we also read a news item 2 days back that in the intellectual property rating among 50 odd countries, India's number is, I think, third from bottom. Or for that matter, our ability to connect new research with new technology. Because we're talking about technology readiness or technology capability. And you want to be in the forefront of technology, you should be able to connect what you find out of your scientific research with new technologies ahead of others. And I think that's also another big gap area. And it has more to do with our ability to act, our ability to do. So it has more to do with the ecosystem with which we are working. So that's the third, and I think it's a major area that we need to address. And the last, which is more connected with the topic of the day, is this question of our ability to manage the technology society interface. And I think, and this is an area where we have not done much work, and I think maybe we should pick that up as a kind of follow-up of what we are going to discuss. Professor Ashutosh Sharma also mentioned about mainstreaming some of the activities that we do. Now, obviously, we are a think tank, and so we can't be engaging ourselves in doing things because the resources simply won't permit that, and also it will distract us from our core activity of working as a think tank. But at the same time, there are gaps in the sense you identify a certain important thing, and if there is nobody doing anything about it, then you have to at least create a pilot. You have to at least create a small demonstration. But then it's important that this whole thing gets mainstreamed, and certainly some of the activities of Tifac today are in that state. The pilot work has been done. The results are very encouraging. For example, the MSME internship program, and I think we should be able to mainstream that activity. So, and I think same thing will happen in all these four verticals which I mentioned. There will be many such things where we will have mechanisms of mainstream, and that also is happening. For example, there is an excellent synergy between Tifac with CTI, particularly in the context of technology vision document. But a think tank, you produce a report, make it visible to others. But there has to be a bit of handholding, and so you do pilots without getting too much entangled into doing activities. But then very soon spin it off to people who are the right people to carry those activities forward. Now, so on the 30th Foundation Day of Tifac, we would like to suggest to the entire community here, more particularly the Tifac colleagues, that just as during last several years, 4-5 years, we have kind of reinvented ourselves into being a think tank. And we've come much closer to our mandate. I think next 4-5 years, we should probably think in terms of how we make the think tank activities more comprehensive. I just mentioned 4 verticals, but maybe there is a different way of looking at it. But I think even as being a think tank, our activities should be comprehensive enough so that ultimately we lead to or we contribute to enhancing the competitiveness of our country, and which I think is a very important matter. Coming to the theme of today's discussion, several things have been said. So I want to more or less restate that in my own perspective. So we're talking about humans, we're talking about our human intelligence, we're talking about artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence for doing repetitive jobs, one part. Artificial intelligence for handling large problems which human brain cannot handle, another problem. Artificial intelligence going to the level of human life or interaction in a human life manner is the evolving thing. Now the question is how far this will go, and whether human beings will remain in control of technology, or technology will control human beings. And I particularly find the afternoon speech by Prashant Bhushan, the human rights issues of machines. I actually shudder that the debate goes to that level. Whether tomorrow the machines will go and argue in the court of law. If a robot can beat human being in chess and many other things, I'm sure human beings can be overpowered by robots even in a court of law. And so I think I only hope that things won't go that far. I still have tremendous faith in human beings as human beings. And I am one of those who believe that technologies will advance, and I think it's important that technologies will advance. But I don't subscribe to this fact that tomorrow technology will overcome human beings. But that doesn't mean that it does not have impact on us. We have already seen even things like mobile has changed our lives. So many times you can wonder whether are we, for example, is mobile controlling our life, the smartphone controlling our life? And I'm sure we cannot give the answer that a clear no answer. Probably a clear yes also is not an answer, but certainly we cannot give no answer. And so there is another aspect that is it's not so much in technology, but it is much more in education and upbringing. And I think that aspect has become more important compared to any time before. Not just because there are challenges of the new knowledge era, not just because there is a huge opportunity in terms of encashing our demographic dividend and so on. But I think more importantly, in the context of this technology, humans engagement, I think if you want to be sure that you don't see the bad influences of technology, I think training, education, upbringing, they all become very important. And we may say that this is not technology issue, but then it's arising out of technology, it's an effect of technology. I think we better address that issue and at least identify. It's like visualizing a future threat, as it were. And I think we should put that in the education domain right now. There is also this question about whether humans will lose jobs because of machines or because of computers or robots or whatever. Now, even there, I think the same thing will come to the sense. Certainly, the low-skill, repetitive jobs would be lost because machines will do them. There is, of course, a economics attached to this. In a country where the human resource is not available easily or is not there at all, I think machines will have some kind of a role. In a country where there are a large number of people, even then technology has a role, but uh, the the disruption which technology can cause in terms of job availability or job losses, and the ability to create new higher level jobs. If I am doing a particular kind of job, those jobs are getting extinct because of technology, then I should build my capacity to do higher level jobs. And that's what is happening so far. For example, in the context of computer, this is what we're saying. There was a fear that there will be job loss. But far from it, people have started doing higher level jobs. And so the level of earning has gone up. Of course, of those who have learned to improve themselves. And so as the technology starts doing more and more kind of human-like activities, human beings perhaps have to learn to do, I won't use the term superhuman-like activities, but at least activities of a higher, activities at higher level of creativity. And that's one area where I think human beings will always have an upper hand. That's the creative activities. And maybe machines might follow. But this, whether it's going to be mad race or it will stop somewhere, I do not know. But at the present level of things, I think it's important, again, as I said, the same education, upbringing, and things like that. I think it's important that we do focus on this so that we make use of the technology, but at the same time make people happy, enhance their earning, make country more important. So I think working of these two together is going to throw up many such challenges. The last 2 points that I wish to make relate to governance and education again. Now, we are a part of a civilized society, and of course, we make rules of the game how one should be behaving in the society. Then some of them become laws, some of them remain norms in the society. So there are different ways, but there are those do's and don'ts that essentially we have established ourselves. Technology does throw up new issues, and it has already thrown up new issues in the past. And for example, there have been large and very serious issues of ethics which have come about because of. And then, of course, all of us, the society at large, is grappling with this as to how do we retune our rules of the game so that we remain in command. And I think this will happen, it will increasingly happen, and probably happen at a much faster pace because that exponential technology has, in terms of the change that is happening in times to come, is also exponential. And so our ability to think through, our ability to create new roles also has to be that much faster. And whether the human beings will be able to do it themselves, or again will resort to some kind of logical programming and derive some help, I don't know. But it's a it's an important aspect, because otherwise, well, simply this question like the human rights of robots is, I think, it's I think a serious governance issue, and we need to make sure that such issues actually do not arise, although there is a real possibility of such issues arising. The last point I wish to make is with education, but with respect to, see, there is a lot of disparity in this world. In our country, there is a lot of disparity. So there was a time when the more powerful went and occupied a piece of land and either made the original society or original people extinct or put them in a corner. Then there is the new disparity where some were blessed by better technology or equipped with better education. They kind of created better opportunities for them. Others got left behind, and we are living in that world. As Indians, with demographic dividend, we think that we can catch on because we have the best of brains and, of course, in large numbers. Now, here the challenge is, are we really moving forward at a pace that is comfortable in terms of ensuring that disparities between, well, number one, disparities within ourselves, and also in terms of between us and the more advanced people in the world. Now, are we moving forward in a manner that those disparities would get reduced, or are those disparities likely to enhance? And at least the way it looks to me, within our country, the disparities have actually grown. Now, if this keeps on happening, this is another dimension of the technology. And again, you come back to same answer. I think there is absolutely no escape but to prepare ourselves for this new technology era in terms of both getting the knowledge, getting into the research, getting into technology, and also in terms of evolving ourselves as human beings, so that we remain in control of the technology and not become slaves of those technologies. So I think it's a major challenge, and I do hope that well, we can't be discussing everything today, but today's discussion will certainly open up a number of new dimensions, and I think it should, over a period of time, become a serious vertical of type of activity, because if not today, in a few years from now, this issue is bound to become extremely important. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving us hope about the superiority of humanity. While listening to Chairman Sir, I was remembering few lines written by Raja Radhikaraman Prasad Singh, who says, आज की प्रगति के चलते हमने क्या क्या नहीं खोया और क्या क्या नहीं पाया। आज की प्रगति के चलते हमने क्या क्या नहीं खोया और क्या क्या नहीं पाया। ज्ञान खोया, विज्ञान पाया। श्रद्धा खोई, अभिज्ञता पाई। विश्वास खोया, तर्क पाया। स्वास्थ्य खोया, इलाज पाया। और दिल खोया, दिमाग पाया। Now, may I request Honorable Executive Director, Tifac, Professor Prabhat Ranjan, to please present mementos to the dignitaries. Please round up. Ladies and gentlemen, before we conclude this inaugural session, I would like to request Registrar Sir, Mr. N.C. Chauhan, to present vote of thanks to the dignitaries and the august audience.
To begin with, I'll say once again good morning to all of you. We have been listening a lot. And sometimes because who are not belonging, who do not belong to this fraternity of scientists and all that, sometimes they get bored. So I was also thinking how to start with before giving vote of thanks. So I also started, thinking 2 lines about the technological developments who are taking place at so fast a pace, and also the obsolescence is also at the same stage. But still technology is, it says in my view, like this in Hindi I'll speak, जब कर ही लिया फैसला, these are the words of technology, जब कर ही लिया फैसला ऊंची उड़ान का, जब कर ही लिया फैसला ऊंची उड़ान का, तो पूछना फजूल है अब कद आसमान का. Because technology developed, and even when I was a child, when we were students, we used to say, okay, sky is the limit. But in my view, the pace of development of technology in such a way that perhaps sky has lost its limit. And hence, there is no sky, even for the development of technology. So respected dignitaries, Dr. Anil Kakotka, Chairman, Tifac Governing Council, Professor Asutosh Sharma, Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, Professor V. Ram Gopal Rao, Director, IIT Delhi, and other dignitaries from DST, eminent and respected experts and speakers, my dear respected IIT faculty, students, and faculty members from Amity University, IIT students, media persons, and students and teachers from various schools and colleges, and my dear colleagues in Tifac. It is my privilege and a great pleasure to propose a very hearty vote of thanks on behalf of Tifac family to all for gracing the occasion of 30th Tifac Foundation Day. First of all, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to all the speakers and eminent experts who have enlightened us today with their thought-provoking and encouraging words and ideas. We have among us, very known dignitaries in their respective fields like Mr. T.V. Mohandas Pai, Chairman, Manipal Global Education, Professor Timothy A. Gonsalves, Director, IIT Mandi, Dr. V. Selvamurthy, former Chief Controller, R&D Life Sciences and International Cooperation, DRDO, and right now he is President of Amity Universities, and many more. And Sri Shanti Bhushan will be coming later on. Sorry for this. And Ms. Deepthi Navratna, Director, Indira Gandhi National Center for Arts, Bengaluru. Mr. Madan Pandit, CEO, TS Information Intelligence, Bengaluru. And Mr. Devesh Rajadakshit, Care Labs Private Limited, Bombay. Listening to them was indeed a nice and educated read, for me at least, and for us. I thank them for their wonderful contribution by supporting Tifac in this mega venture and participating in today's event. I owe a very special thanks to the representatives of press and media here. I request them, if possible, kindly give adequate coverage to this special occasion. And my special thanks to Professor Dhananjay Gadre and his team from NSIT Delhi for making it possible to demonstrate virtual lighting lamp here without any majestic and oil claim. The successful culmination of this program also owes much to the guidance and support of our Executive Director, Professor Prabhat Ranjan. The incredible leadership, timely and proper advice, and the freedom in decision making provided by him have been indispensable for functioning of Tifac and organizing today's program. He has shown his immense trust, confidence, and faith in his team. On the back of this, there has been an enthusiastic and dedicated team of my ever-supporting colleagues in Tifac, my seniors, my fellow scientists, my colleagues from establishment, accounts, admin, publication, IT, and all others. I owe my deep gratitude and special thanks to all for extending their cooperation and successfully taking care of back-end operations for making this program as a grand success. Support services from IT Delhi and very nice and cooperating staff and other professional organizations are very much appreciated, and I personally, on behalf of Tifac, acknowledge the same. No doubt that glitter has been also added by the in this program by the students of college, schools and colleges and their teachers who are fully loaded with their sharp skills, knowledge, and thanks to them, thanks to the teachers also. In case anyhow I might have missed any name of organization or any individual name, I wish all the thanks to them and gratitude and thanks to all those as well. And once again, many thanks to you for sparing a lot of time and giving us very patient hearing. Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. With this, we are completing the inaugural session, and now we will take 15 minutes of tea break, and then we will again join for the interesting national debate on impact of exponential technology on human species. Thank you so much.
मैं देता हूँ